Hi there, I'm Fionuala. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. Today we're going to talk about what you do in your garden in December. Don't forget where I am. I'm in Zone 9B, Petaluma, Northern California, and we've got a really perfect climate. But we still get cold, we still get rain. Today we are blessed with the most amazingly sunny day, but about 10 days ago, poured rain 3 straight days, and we've had frost in between times. Okay, let's dive right in. I'm going to talk about frost first because we've already had a couple of nights of frost. Frost is not all bad. It takes care of overwintering bug populations, knocks them back. That's a really positive thing. And the other thing is it forces dormancy with your roses and your fruit trees. I've got a little rose bush here. All its leaves have fallen off. Now it's ready for pruning and caring for. The other thing, all my nectarines and peaches, all their leaves have fallen off, indicating it is time for me to prune them. Not only prune my nectarines and peaches, but spray them for peach leaf curl, which is a plague up here in Zone 9B. It may be a fabulous climate, and look at today. Oh my goodness, the weather could not be prettier. But our winters, a little bit warm, followed by rain, absolutely ideal breeding ground for peach leaf curl. So even if you hate spraying anything, there's a couple of really great sprays for your peaches. This copper fungicide, find yourself a spray with copper fungicide in it, follow all the directions, great little labels on the back, and spray your peaches and nectarines for peach leaf curl. There is one type of peach right behind me here, the frost peach, which is more resistant. So if you want to try to go without sprays entirely, try growing a frost peach. Peaches are great. The tree is more resistant to peach leaf curl, but there's still no guarantee if we've had a wet winter. So frosty weather knocks the leaves back. You get out there, you spray and prune your peaches and your nectarines. That is chore number 1 for December. Another thing about frost, if you've got very tender succulents, succulent pots, things like this, you're going to want to be really careful that the frost doesn't kill them. Something as cute and tiny as this, you can bring indoors on a frosty night or shelter under the eaves of your house. But something bigger, like a young citrus tree, is going to need frost cloth. I did a whole other video about that. Watch out for it, click on it, watch that, see how you do it. But yeah, frost cloth, that's a chore for November. Make sure you have some. Comes in different colors, different sizes. Get whatever you need to fit your garden's needs, and you're going to be really thrilled to bits. Another thing you're going to do in December is, if you've had insect problems over the year, now is the time when your trees and roses are dormant, no leaves on them. Spray them with horticultural oil. I always go for the ones safe for organic gardening. You want to spray, soak the whole thing down so that you're killing off any little insects that might be harboring in there, any little insect eggs, and then you've really laid the groundwork for a healthy rose or fruit tree for the next season. Both of those things are chores. The other chore, before I get on to the really fun stuff, the other chore you're going to do is mark your calendar. December is a great month to check your irrigation system. We had rain a couple of weeks ago. Now we've had no rain. Here at the nursery, we're hand watering again. At home, you want to check your irrigation system, make sure it's working, make sure your plants didn't suffer, gophers didn't chew through it, the emitters are still there. You're going to want to really look in the month of December when it's not critical, but check them. It's a great time to check them. To make sure that by next season, when spring is coming and the weather's warming up and the plants are wanting to grow, that they're going to be adequately hydrated. Speaking of hydration, even in the winter, your plants need water. So if it hasn't rained for a couple of weeks, go check on it. Put your fingers in the soil, dig in the soil, see if those plants need water, and water accordingly. At home at my house, I've turned off my irrigation system, but I did have to hand water a couple of containers, and the other thing I had to hand water was anything sheltered under the eaves of your home. even if it's poured rain, they are sheltered from that rain. They could be dry as a bone, so do not forget to check those containers or the plants that you might have planted right up against your house. That kind of gets the chores out of the way. Apart from checking your garden tools, a great time to sharpen and oil all your pruners, all your loppers, shovels even. Get them all sharp and ready for next year. When spring comes, you don't have time for that type of thing. Do it now. Great job for a rainy day, to be honest. On a day like this, I'm not going to be inside sharpening anything, but it's going to rain. I will be indoors checking on the tools. Okay, so now for the more fun stuff. One thing I love to do is plan ahead. Get those seed catalogs out. I like print catalogs still. I really love them. They're kind of great browsing material. So I get seed catalogs out. I start looking at what's new, what new flowers can I grow. I start thinking way ahead and think about sunflowers. What am I going to do? So that's a really fun activity for a rainy December day. But it's not all planning ahead. It's not all pruning and spraying. There's some fabulous things that you can plant right now. I'm going to start with seeds. Because we live in such an amazing climate, zone 9B, and our soil is still kind of warm, we can plant carrots, parsnips. I love parsnips. And we can plant radishes from seed right now. I always think plant in the middle of a warm, sunny day. The soil is nice and warm. And then, because birds are very particularly active right now, you're going to want to cover it with a little layer of burlap or something so the birds don't eat the seeds before they can even germinate. Moving on to starts that you can plant right now. Oh my goodness, we're going to start with vegetables. All right, so I am an avid vegetable gardener. I love living here in Zone 9B because we can plant things, we can harvest things, and we can grow things almost every single day of the year. Here we are in December. One of my favorite things to grow in December are mustard greens. They're pretty for a start, so you can totally decorate with vegetables. And they come in such a range of different colors and textures that even in the garden they look great, but just imagine what they look like in your salads. When you pick them fresh and green and don't even cook them, they add loft and color and texture and that bite of mustard flavor. The other wonderful thing about these is you let them get a little bit bigger, you let them go to maturity. They cook up so beautifully in any winter soup or stew. This one is an old-time favorite. It's ruby frills, so pretty. I mean, look at it. It's like, gorgeous. And then I love this one too. These are like these big, they grow up big and tall and gorgeous and green with this beautiful red veining. So you're growing all these different colors and textures and lofts. And mustard does not care how cold it gets around here. We seldom go below like 18 degrees or anything. Everything I show you here today doesn't care at all. Does not need extra protection, nothing. Another wonderful thing to grow and plant from starts right here in December, any of the kales. Now the Russian kales are probably the hardiest. They can go to like really, really, really cold temperatures. But again, Zone 9B, we don't get that chilly, that cold. So any kale is going to be fabulous. Again, I pick for color, texture, loft, different looks, because there's nothing quite like baby kale in a salad. It's amazing. Another cool thing about kale, I got to tell you, is planting kale in the fall and the winter is incredibly rewarding because the cold temperatures actually make it sweeter. I've had people say to me, it's weirdly sweet in the winter. To me, I like that. I don't really want my kale to be bitter. I've got all these other tastes going on, like the mustards and radicchio, that is providing the bitter. I like the sweetness of the kale in the winter. One other thing I'm going to tell you about is winter lettuces. You know, you want to switch over to leafy lettuces in the winter that are cold hardy. A lot of the red lettuces are way cold hardier than any of the greens. And the leafier, the better. And one thing you can do, you plant a super leafy, gorgeous lettuce like this one. This one is Brentwood, goes great through the winter. And you can do a cut and come again type of thing with it. Even in the dead of winter, it is not going to mind. You cut it, you use it, and right from the crown of your lettuce, it starts growing up again. So winter lettuces, head towards the reds if you live in a particularly cold zone, but any of the leafy lettuces that say they are downy mildew resistant or winter hardy, you're going to be safe with those right now. Another plant that you can plant this time of year are peas. I love to plant peas in the winter. They go through the cold just fine, giving you peas in the early spring, and they're super pretty. Now, one variety I love to grow for garnishing is this Feisty. Grows great through the winter, and what you're actually harvesting are these little tendrils. Super cute in your winter salads, and it gives you peas too. It's a great, great plant. Leeks and spring onions, they do great planted in December, and they'll give you that lovely oniony, leaky, fabulous flavor all winter long. They do not mind the cold. Any other brassicas? The leafy broccolis, they're fabulous. The cabbages go fine through the winter too. So there's a ton of things you can plant here. Absolutely, you can have your winter vegetable garden totally full and harvest every day of the year. And it's less stressful than the summer ones because you know the days are cooler. The plants don't need quite as much water. It's going to rain. It just is. So fingers crossed it does anyway. Winter gardening is so much fun, so rewarding. Something that you do need to keep track of when you're winter gardening is there's less sun. The sun's rays are a little bit lower, so do try to plant any of your winter veggies in as much sun as you can give them. All right, well, that's it for the vegetables. Now I want to move on to color. I want to talk about what you can plant in your ornamental garden in December. Believe it or not, there are so many beautiful plants that you can grow right now. Most people focus on container growing and anything like in your front yard. You're thinking about visitors, you're thinking about people coming to your house over the holidays. You want color and fun and beauty right as you approach your house. So container gardening is a really big deal right now. And what I love to use is cyclamen. I mean, this time of year, there are so many amazing colors that just make your container gardening shine. I mean, look at these things. If you're trying to go towards a more holiday colored, there's cyclamen in a range of burgundies, there's whites, there's these adorable little mini reds over here that are just like the cutest things you have ever seen. Personally, I love the whites because I'll do my container gardening. I will decorate like crazy with these. They're so calming and gorgeous. The foliage is amazing. And then once the holiday season is over and these guys have died back, I love to plant them out and let them naturalize in my garden, which they do, and it's just like such a delight every year when you go back outside and you see the cyclamen that you planted maybe 3 or 4 years ago, just totally at home in your shade garden. So this time of year, cyclamen can take full sun. Your container can be in full sun because like I mentioned before, the sun's rays are pretty benign right now. The sun is lower, so these guys can be in full sun. But when you plant them out again afterwards, give them some afternoon shade. Did I even show you this one? This is ruffled flowers, ruffled foliage. Cyclamen come in such a range of beautiful shapes and forms and color forms and leaf forms that they can be kind of addictive. The other plant that you're going to find right now in nurseries, the primroses are starting to bloom. I love this little oak leaf white. It's a very pastel kind of a white with a little yellow center because it reminds me of primroses from Ireland that you would just see in the hedges and the ditches. And they happen in April or so, but every time I see these, here we are in December, I think about my childhood. I think about the primroses that I've loved and the smell of them and the fragrance of them. And quite often in Ireland, you get primroses and violas, little wild violas growing in the same spot. Brings back fabulous memories. So speaking of violas, it's also a wonderful time to plant any beautiful pansies or violas. Pansies are in the viola family. Any that you can find right now make a great addition to containers or your garden beds. This time of year, again, because the sun is pretty low, you can grow them in full sun, and they last a really long time. But once spring hits, once April or May hits and the sun's rays are super strong, you might want to consider moving them to a shadier spot. But look at this. Look how cute this little guy is. It is electric blue. That's its name, and it's adorable, lasts a really long time, and they self-seed too, which is something fabulous about violas. The other plants I wanted to bring your attention to that you can plant right now are stock. This is the old-fashioned kind of stock, I should say. Super fragrant, really beautiful. They're going to bloom for months and just make you so happy. And they make a great cut flower too, so absolutely an amazing one to plant right this second. I've got 6 packs of them here, and what I like to do is wait till they're blooming, find ones in the same tones of color, and maybe plant the burgundy ones in a pot together, the 3 burgundies, and then surround them by something like a lissome, something low growing like that. Super cute. I'll show you another day if I do one of those containers. Stock and a lissome for fragrance, really great thing to plant close to your door. That entryway is going to be gorgeous. You're going to have a nice mix of stock, a lissome, maybe a cyclamen or 2. It's going to be stunning. So yeah, December may sound like a month that you really don't have to do too much in your garden. Not strictly true at all. It's certainly not true for me in my own home garden. And we're busy here too at Cottage. One more thing I was going to talk to you about is harvesting. You're out in your garden walking through. There's rosemary, there's thyme, there's sage still out there. There's so many things to harvest to use in your winter dishes. So you're going to have fun just wandering through, finding things that you can use. And then you could also make yourself your own holiday wreath. Now I would be totally lying if I said I made this, but look what's in it. There's pepperberries from a skyness tree, there are pomegranates, there's magnolia, there's flowers from eucalyptus. There are some fabulous things out there that you can harvest and make your own holiday wreath. So December is a ton of fun in the garden. If you're a gardener, there really is no downtime unless there's a downpour or it starts snowing on you unexpectedly. So get on out there, have fun in your garden. There is so much to do. It is so much fun, and I am here for you along the way. If you have any questions whatsoever, drop me a comment, ask me a question, let me know how your gardening experience is going, and check in on my Instagram, my Facebook, my newsletter, sign up for that, and I'll see you next time. Happy gardening!